So in TBC, it is possible basically to take one of your AutoCAD drawing templates, import that into TBC, and then set that up within here as your own draft template sheet set. So to do this, I'm just going to start a new project. I'm going to start here just with a blank template. And then what I'm going to do is I've got a DXF here. Now, if you bring in, you can use a DWG or a DWT, a template file from AutoCAD. However, if you export this from the paper space from AutoCAD, then basically the formatting won't work. What you need to do is you need to have to make sure that basically the file is exported out of AutoCAD in the model space view, so that we bring it into the model space view of TBC, and then we can copy it basically into our sheets. It can also be important as well, you can just drag and drop a DXF file in or DWG file in. However, quite a lot of the time, TBC, we're operating in meters, and then in Autodesk, we can be operating millimeters. So rather than just using the drag and drop, you can also use the export tabs, or under home, export, home, import. And then we can navigate basically to our location. Find our file, and then in the drop down for settings, we can now change the unit size. And like I say, most of the time, coming out of AutoCAD, this could be, or an Autodesk product, this would usually be set to millimeters. So we can use this and convert it to millimeters, and then import the file that way. So we're possibly going to still see some errors and things like that. Usually the scale would be one of them, and we can be missing some of the imagery if there's anything on there as well, so just hit no to that. And then basically it's imported this sheet styles, and if you see here, if we go into sheet view, you can see our file is imported here, but we do still have some issues in terms of the template and effectively how it's been brought in. So if I close that down, and then I'll zoom extents. Actually, I can see that my file is down here, but again, looks as if I've got some other information. It's possibly coming an error. Just make sure to try and delete anything. And then eventually, hopefully, we should narrow it down that basically this is the only thing we have within our project. And you might find some things like little bits of conversion issues where we have additional line strings or boxes in, and basically we can just remove them, and then we should be left effectively with our drawn template. So the first thing we want to do is, and we can remain in the plan view here when we're doing this, is basically check the scale. So if we use the measure icon, we go corner to corner. We can see we're looking at 831 in terms of millimeters. This is an A1 size drawn. So it should be 841 by 954. So basically there's a little bit of scaling here that needs to be fixed. Now, before you do the scaling, sometimes it will work fine, but if you do have some blocks, then there is a chance that some of these blocks may or may not come through properly in terms of the scale. You can always check that and basically do it yourself, but I would tend to maybe just explode everything first in terms of it coming through, and we can just use the CAD command and go to explode, and we can delete any objects that are left behind, and we can explode this out. and a lot of this stuff should go into basically becoming separate entities now. Just try to recompute. Again, should be 841. And if we select the whole sheet, under the CAD tools, we go to scale, scale it from the 0. We're going to do it in X and Y scale, so we're just going to lock that for the moment. If I paste it in here, so just take it down to the same value just to make sure, sorry, that it's applied in the X and the Y scale. You should see their update basically when you click off of it, and that should work now. If we hit apply, and then just again, just double check the sizes. So 841 in horizontal. And at the moment we're 584, where it should be 594. So again, just need to adjust that slightly on the Y scale. So we're applying it only to the Y scaling this time. We're just going to keep the horizontal scale as 1 for the other one, and again, just on the 0. Apply that. Just double check it again. So we've got 594 and 841. So all I usually do now is basically make sure that we're quite happy with all our text sizes basically, and there's nothing that's been too badly affected by any of the scaling, just to make sure it all fits within the lines, and we're all happy there. You may find that sometimes the set width can be different. So if you right click on any of your text, or say for instance this text here, and we go to properties, you'll see that it basically gives it a maximum width. Now obviously this can change sometimes on the scaling, and for instance if we were to set the maximum width as this, then obviously it's going to be this size. And depending on how large the scale is, if it's a bigger scale or a smaller scale, this change, this is going to make a bit of a bigger difference, because this maximum width number won't update. So 0.47 just now, although it could be 0.5, so very, very slight difference, and that's the maximum width. However, we usually like to draw it in a little bit smaller than that so it doesn't overlap. So those are some of the things to check that you're happy that the width for the text is basically fitting in, and everything else is updated. The other thing that doesn't come across is you won't see any images. So if you have an image here, basically a logo that you've used, and then that won't come across either. So that needs to be inserted, and it's quite easy to insert that by doing it in the paper in our sheet space view. So if we're happy with this at the moment, what we'll do is we'll open up one of our sheet sets. And we'll just delete this that we have in here. And then what we can do is we can, under the drafting command, we can use the function for copy objects to a sheet, and basically all this is going to do is it's going to copy any object in any of our views. So if we go into the plan view here, we select everything here, and then we can decide we're going to move it over and we're going to add it into this sheet here. Hit apply to that. Close that one down. We'll open up a new sheet view. And then everything basically appears in here as it should be. Basically copies it all over and adds it into your sheet view now. So you're doing the editing in your normal plan view, your model space, so to speak, and then you're moving it into your paper space basically in your sheet layouts, copying it across. So as I said, the only thing that you really want to do now is basically insert an image. So if we go insert image, and then all it's looking for is basically a file name. It's going to add it to a specific layer. You can scale it, or you can just leave it. For now, usually it will look for a scale. So if we just put 1, and then if you were to find some sort of image, so just select this JPEG image here, and we open that, and we just specify where we want the image to save. Then we can edit the size of it, and obviously just move it into position. So that's us basically got our first template created. So this one we've created here is basically obviously for an A1 size. So if I just close my sheet view here and I go into plan view, and then from here, effectively, if you want to create A0 or you want to create different sizes, all you're really needing to do then is basically just use the scale again, scale command, and then apply the scale to your drawing. And you can work it out exactly, but if we were going from A1 to A0, generally the scale increases around 1414. It's slightly different. So you can work it out exactly again, and then just add that value in here, and then ensure that applies it both to the X and Y, and basically apply the scale to both of these, and then you'll scale up. And then, like I say, this is where you might have this instance here when you start to scale it by a little bit more, a little bit less, then you really need to start looking at your widths. And actually, you can just multi-select a group of items that you want to change. And if we go to the Edit tab, select them again. Properties. So multi-select these in the properties, and then you'll see where your things like the text varies and things, but things that are consistent would be this width. And then if we want to make that a little bit different or a little bit longer, we'll just make it a tiny little bit shorter, and then this basically fixes them all here. Again, if we're not too happy with that, we can change it, and it will apply that to all of them. So that's the only real thing you probably want to look at doing. Again, you can also, if we wanted to, we could add our images in here rather than in the paper space, and it's effectively the same idea again. We're just going to copy that and create a new sheet, adding in a new sheet, which you can do up here in the drafting tools. You can create a custom sheet. Just make sure you select the correct one, give it a name, tell it where you want to insert it, or insert it after the first one. So for instance, A0, it's going to go in the sheets, and it'll add the new one in there, and it's just a case of scaling it up, making sure you're happy. Like I say, the logos you could add in here rather than adding in the sheet view, and then just using the copy to sheet functionality and then copying it in and creating these. Once you're happy with this, if you want to use it as a future template, then the idea is to export it as a VCL file, When you come to do the export, you basically need to ensure you select everything from the plan sets down. So you need to select everything that you want to be included. So you can't just select the sheet. You need to include the plan sets, the draft template, and then all the individual sheets. So you need to ensure you select all of these basically for it to work. And then if we go to export, and you'll find that the export is under construction tab, and it's the VCL project linked exporter. So you make sure you've got all them saved. It will create a VCL file. Just ensure you can save it somewhere safe. And then basically when you go into a new job and you want to add it in, it's not already there, then you can just drag and drop the VCL and it will bring in all your sheet settings.